Hi everyone, my name is Giulia Calegari. As Marco said, I am a former student of CEPAL's last year summer school, and I'm really glad to be here today to present the final results of the paper that I started to write 1 year ago at CEPAL and continue to develop at Brazil with the contribution and the orientation of Professor Tatiana Mello from Unesp and Professor Carlos Eduardo Ferreira de Carvalho from PUC São Paulo. So thank you, CEPAL, and thank you, INET, for giving me this opportunity to be here today. As a brief introduction to my paper, there has been a growing trend toward the fragmentation of the production process across countries in the so-called global value chains, to the detriment of the vertical specialization of production within individual nations. Brazil has presented a low engagement in those global value chains, and there has been an increasing interrogations of the causes and these consequences of this low participation in these cross-border chains. And this is exactly what my paper discusses. But if we're going to analyze today the Brazil participations in those global value chains, it is important to clarify 2 points before. The first one is that the insertion into global value chains is considered one factor of high potential impact on the development of small nations. And this is because due to their limited internal market, they have lesser conditions for the diversification of production internally. And in large economies such as Brazil, on the other hand, the relevance of the insertion in global value chains for economic development is relatively smaller. And this is because large economies have significant internal market, and also because they can make use of more restrictive industrial and commercial protectionist barriers. And another important consideration is that participation in global value chains may imply certain risks, such as that countries which participate in the initial stage of those cross-border chains, they may never develop the autonomy and the capacity necessary to create and commercialize service led by their own companies. So, if I'm saying that participation in global value chains may imply certain risk and that it has a greater impact on the development of small nations, why am I concerned to study Brazil's participation in those global value chains? Why does it matter? Well, one way to answer this question is that global value chains, insertion in those global value chains, it allows for the diversification of trade and consequently for job creation and gains of productivity resulting from learning, the transfer of technology and knowledge diffusion. And those gains arise from the fact that participation in global value chains those participation in global value chains usually comes together with global business standards. So in fact, there has been a study carried out by OECD, WTO, and UNCTAD that revealed a positive and significant correlation between the participation in global value chains of developing countries and their GDP per capita growth. Therefore, despite Brazil's diversified productive structure, the country's low participation in those cross-border chains has been suggested as one of the factors, one of the problems that may explain Brazil's difficulty to sustain economic growth. Well, now the next question is, what are the evidences of Brazil's low engagement in those cross-border chains? And to answer this question, I used the TIVA database by OECD and WTO. And TIVA database has an index that measures countries' participation in global value chains specifically the backward and the forward participation. And backward participation refers to the portion of foreign inputs contained in the national exports, while the forward participation refers to the portion of national inputs contained in third-party exports. But unfortunately, the data consolidation is still in progress, and the latest year available is 2009. But despite this, the numbers provide us a good overview on the Brazilian level of engagement in those global value chains and allow us to draw a comparison with the results from other countries. So if we look at these first two graphics here, we see that when it comes to participation in global value chains, Brazil is behind many other developing countries, emerging markets. And those emerging markets, they were selected from a group of the 25 larger emerging nations. And in 14 years, Brazil had a minor increase in its level of participation. Now, if we decompose this level of participation in backward participation and forward participation, we see that the most critical point for determining the Brazil's low engagement in those cross-border chains is the portion of foreign inputs contained in the national exports, while the forward participation in turn is relatively high, and this is because Brazil has a high relevance of primary goods in its exports, which are subsequently processed by other countries. So there is also another proxy variable that can be used to measure the level of a country's engagement in global value chains, which is the foreign value added in exports. So for a country with an average level of income and technology sophistication, such as Brazil, one would expect it to see relatively high foreign value added in the exports of medium and high technological products. Lower valued, on the other hand, are expected in more sophisticated economies. But if they are found in economies such as Brazil, they may indicate the risk of producing products that are not competitive enough for exports. And if we look at this graphic here, we see that this is exactly the case of Brazil. Brazil, in the sector of electric machinery and apparatus, taken here as an example, Brazil had a low participation of foreign value added in the exports, and Brazil results resemble, for example, Japan's results, which is a really sophisticated economy. So now that I have shown some of the evidence of Brazil's low engagement in those cross-border chains, the next question is, what are the conditioning elements that may explain the scenario of low participation? And in order to answer this question, I used the results of an econometric study conducted by Kowalski in 2015. And through this study, he seeks to correlate various aspects of the economy with the level of engagement of countries in global value chains. And as a result, he proposed a list of elements that have the greatest impact on this level of engagement. And in my paper, I analyzed 5 of the elements proposed by Kowalski and try to understand and to analyze how they are expressed in the Brazilian economy, how they are presented in the Brazilian economy. So those are the 5 elements that I analyze in my paper. Protectionism, degree of industrialization, investment in research and development and intellectual property rights, preferential trade agreements, and distance to the closest manufacturing hub. Today, due to the limited time here, and due to the fact that the first 2 are more self-explanatory, I will focus my presentation on the other 3 elements and provide a very brief explanation about them. So, starting with the first one, investment in research and development in intellectual property rights, Kowalski found a positive and strong correlation with the backward participation, given that an important driver for upgrading in global value chains is the investment in knowledge-based capital and the existence of intellectual property rights. So, what I show and what I argue in my paper is that Brazil is investing a little in innovation comparing to other developed and developing countries, as you can see just one example in the graphic here. And I also show that regarding the results of this investment, Brazil has few patents in force comparing to other developed and developing countries. And also another important information is that Brazil's private sectors invest a little in innovation. This number is just 47% of the total investment, while in Japan, for example, this number is 84%. So there is a lack of consolidation of the private sector as a key element of the national innovation system. And therefore, Brazil is losing market share even in more traditional sectors in which the country could be expected to have better performance, such as metallurgy, food, and rubber. Now, moving to the next element, the next factor, preferential trade agreements. So, Kowalski found a positive correlation between the share of imports covered by those preferential trade agreements and the backward participation index. The idea here is that those new preferential trade agreements, they go beyond the scope of the traditional agreements of the World Trade Organization that are more restricted to tariff and non-tariff liberalization. So those new preferential trade agreements, they incorporate topics such as harmonization of norms and standards among countries, openness of the service sector, and intellectual property rights. And by doing so, they help to reduce the cost of transactions among countries, and they also help to boost the productive integration. But Brazil, however, is signatory of a small number of those preferential trade agreements. They are not really representative in the Brazilian foreign trade, and their character is little innovative and elaborated. And one of the reasons that can explain this scenario is that Brazil so far has prioritized the multilateral sphere as the main forum for the international negotiations. And this is because the countries believe that this could be a strategy for increasing Brazil's bargaining powers. But the world has changed. Brazil ended up isolated, and this needs to change if Brazil wants to be a relevant player again in the international market. And now, about the last element, distance to the closest manufacturing hub. I think this is the element that will interest you the most because it has to do with the discussion of integration in Latin America. And so, Kowalski found a negative correlation between this distance and the backward participation. And the idea is that global value chains, they are usually organized regionally around large manufacturing hubs, as large industrial economies usually develop supply chains in their trade and investment relations with neighboring countries. So now think about Latin America and think about Brazil as well. We have a low productive integration and no manufacturing hub here. And in order to understand this idea, firstly, there is a structural element that helps to explain the low trade complementarity in Latin America, which is a common supply of raw materials among the countries. Okay, thanks. Which is so a common supply of raw material among the countries, especially South American countries. And the idea is that considering the low level of processing of those primary goods, the exchange of inputs among their producers becomes relatively less relevant. And this is reflected in the low numbers of intra-regional trade, which in Latin America accounts for only 18% of the total exports. And this number in the European Union, for example, is 63%, and in the Asian countries 50% as well in the NAFTA groups. So we have this problem, and also there is a second factor that can explain the scenario of low trade complementarity, that, as I was saying, unlikely, for example, United States in North America, Germany in Europe, or China in Asia, we have no headquarter economy here in Latin America. And those large manufacturing economies, they are important because they have the capacity and the ability to invest and open subsidiary companies in neighboring countries. And those neighboring countries, they they receive this investment, and they can specialize in the production of specific components, and then they would export these components to other neighboring countries and import from them the components that are not produced internally. So this dynamic helps to build value chains in the region. And also, a last important factor to explain the scenario is that Latin America is not integrated into a comprehensive and large trade agreement. Rather, we are interconnected by a complex web of multiple and smaller agreements, each of them with their own norms and standards, and this can end up causing institutional disorder. So those are examples of the challenge that we as a region need to tackle if we want to build economic integration here. This is important for Brazil, but this is important for all the countries in Latin America. So my point here is that the region matters for the economic development. And this idea may be obvious for some of you, but this is not obvious at all, for example, for the Brazilian current Ministry of Foreign Affairs, that is putting Latin America behind in its list of priorities. So now the conclusion. My paper ends by giving some recommendations of priority actions for the Brazilian government for reversing the scenario of low engagement in global value chains. So I will just mention here few examples of the recommendations that I give. So, investment in the consolidation of the private sector as a key element of the National Program of Technological Innovation through a partnership with the government for cooperation between science and industry, so that we can generate applied knowledge to the productive sector. I also suggest a far more aggressive strategy in the negotiation of new trade agreements to ensure Brazil's position as a rule maker and not as a rule taker in the international trade, together with a gradual implementation of measures negotiated in accordance with the sensitivity of the sectors. And finally, about Latin America, as I was saying, I suggest that Brazil use its regional leadership and economic strength to advance integration within Mercosur. So it is important that Mercosur resolves the difference hindering the bloc, especially between Brazil and Argentina. And it is also important that the countries coordinate their foreign trade policy, but this is not contradictory with the possibility that negotiations occur at different paces according to the country's necessities. And I also suggest for Latin America that the countries, they should integrate and coordinate themselves through a comprehensive trade agreements to attract investment and production from outside the region. In other words, in the absence of a large and manufacturing hub here, global regional value chains in Latin America, they doesn't need to originate within the region. They may use foreign elements to become stronger, such as foreign investment. And my last point is that a first essential step for all of this is that Latin American countries coordinate among themselves so that they can define the strategies and their priorities for the region development, and as a result they can direct the foreign investments according to their projects. If we fail to do so as a region, there is the risk that we lose the control over the exploitation of our territories by foreign firms. So that's it, and thank you.